All right, hello and welcome everybody to Horizon Overwatch Scrim Night. Very exciting to bring you one of our first Monday night scrims. Typically we do Sunday and Tuesday. Today we got an exciting one for you. This is going to be WM1 versus Dreadful. I, of course, am Argander, and with me is a brand new face to the Horizon Overwatch casting crew. We've got UTech on the line. UTech, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great. It's a wonderful Monday. Over in my part of the states, it's in Minnesota. It's finally warm out, and I can't believe it's actually above freezing.
Yeah, that's always very exciting. It's feeling good outside, but typically when you're locked indoors 23 hours a day like me, don't really worry about too much what's going on outside.
Air conditioning is a modern wonder. Modern wonder, I tell you, man.
All right, so it looks like heroes are going to be selected here. Very curious to see. We've got Lijiang. We've got one of the more interesting maps. This isn't going to be the best map for Pharah necessarily, although I have seen Pharah used pretty effectively on this map. Typically, you swap out instead of the Pharah. A lot of people like to run the Junkrat, and it looks like Reese's is going to be filling that Junkrat role today.
Yes, definitely. And also coming in with the Brigitte pick, coming in trying to go for that triple support lineup, going in with triple tank. Very potent, I've seen in recent scrims of other games I've seen, but we'll see how it fares against a traditional dive.
All right, doors have opened up, and it looks like Lucio is going to be taking his team to the very front. WM1 trying to get some positioning at the top of the stairs. Fire being traded back and forth, but nobody's going down here, so it looks like we've got a little bit of a standoff. Who's going to make the first mistake? That's what you're going to be looking for here. And Brigitte is going to enable this fight to last for as long as she possibly needs, but WM1 does get the first 2 kills. Look at Reese's popping off on that Junkrat. Already has his tire, popping it from behind. Isn't going to get any kills against a 2K.
Oh, an amazing kill. Already was able to gather that ult charge so fast because they're already running a triple tank lineup. With all that HP just being damaged by bomb after bomb after bomb, you're gonna get that quick 20-second tire.
Yeah, very confident push there. Now we see the Junkrat is being used on the other side as well, trying to get some spam in there, and just watching what Reese's was able to do on that fight. And now the Shatter comes in. No quarter is being given by WM1. They walk in with the Shatter, fully confident that they have their ult on a good rotation here. And this is what you want to see. This is why it's so hard to get back onto the point when you've lost first fight. The enemy team has so much ult economy on you. It's very difficult to get a swing turn until you have at least 2 or 3 combos you can, put together for your push.
Yes, and a great play by Ironcred, able to get that Earth Shatter in far back of the overextending knee mover.
All right, so Beat is ready, and from what we've seen from WM1, it looks like they know how to use their ults. Ults are being popped here. Graviton Surge is coming out, but the Beat does save everybody. No deaths will make that. Actually, Reese's getting the first death here, getting another kill. Enabling this Junkrat is doing so much for WM1 right now. He's just being completely ignored. This is so frustrating. It must be so frustrating to be just getting peppered, not only by the random damage coming out from that Junkrat, but if you have a good player like Reese's is on the Junkrat, he brings skill to the table as well, and applying that to a character like Junkrat is so scary to walk into.
And both these sides are just generating ult charge after ult charge. Nothing can stop them.
Look like there's too much going on right now. The fight is being brought into the point. I'm looking for a huge Earth Shatter here. I know that the Reinhardt wants it too, but he can't do it. These tires will not stop. That is the 3rd tire that we've seen of this fight coming in from Reese's. And I think we're really seeing the Reese's show at the moment. But what's important to notice here is, why is he able to do this? He's able to do this because he has these really, really strong tank combos with the Zarya. He's got the Roadhog. They're soaking up so much damage. And one of the scariest things is, you have these tanks just walking into your face. So you need to focus on them. You need to stop them from stealing all your space, but then you don't look to the left and there's a Junkrat just spamming for free, tires on cooldown. Very, very scary moment there.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what they do to answer that Junkrat spam. Are they going to try to go for a similar comp, try to out spam the Junkrat? Or are they going to try to maybe go for the long play, get some poke damage in there, as you said before, trying to get a Pharah into the mix, and hopefully that'll just spice a few things up.
All right, so a little bit more open space here, so we are going to see the Pharah be coming out for WM1. Looks like Reese's is going to stay on that fragging ability, just trying to dump in as much damage as possible, give his team a lot of room to breathe here. A couple little shots being traded back and forth, almost an Omega wall coming in from that Tracer. Does use a recall to stay alive. Not too much going on here, just a little bit of poking, a little bit of prodding, see who makes the first mistake and who you should capitalize on with the two-shot is Reese's getting out of the sky as the enemy team's Pharah. That's going to be huge, opening up the point for the rest of his team to walk in.
And making sure a great pick happens. Not too much else happening for the end. They're going to try to make sure they're safe, go back to spawn. But a great pick off nonetheless from Reese's.
All right, so like we saw on the last point, this is the scary moment. You've lost the first fight. The enemy team has ult advantage over you. Take a look at those ultimates coming in for WM1. This is a very scary moment. So you're either going to win this fight cleanly right here, or you're just going to be trying to build ults to get to the next fight. So, but I mean, if you have your Pharah popping off like that, returning the air shot, but it's not going to be enough. That is so scary. You have one of these teams and then the Tracer Bomb comes in. These are kills being traded back and forth. It is so hard to say who's going to come out on top because both teams are very, very weak on the point.
Yeah, and an amazing play by both teams right there. Codexa getting that great pop off onto making sure that even though he was able to get the res off, unable to keep the heals
and
on
we
the
may
fight.
be seeing the swing now because now we've got 2 kills coming in on this point. Remember, this whole time it's been contested. WM1 is in control of this point. This is scary. You're getting the kills, but you're not getting the percentage.
Still barely able to get that point, and now they're finally getting the percentage points that they want on the team fight. Definitely having the ult advantage on the side of Dreadful, making sure that they're going to be able to hold on to these next 2 fights, hopefully, since that ult advantage is going to be greatly done in their favor.
All right, so now Vex is going to be the one who's controlling the skies, and there are 5 ultimates available for Dreadful if they choose to use them, but there is a Zenyatta ultimate on the other side, so you got to be very careful, and it's not going to be easy for you if Reese's takes you out. That's the second time we've seen Reese's winning that Pharah duel. Pharah is picked back up, but then the Mercy goes down. Reese's is just controlling the skies here, not letting anybody get any space, and Dreadful is doing something very, very smart here. Less focused on the Pharah. I mean, she did die there in that fight. Less focused on the Pharah, and they're trying to take out everybody on the ground first. That's one of the ways you can deal with the Pharah. You can either deal with her head on, kill her first, or deal with everybody on the ground. And it looks like Dreadful knows that, Reese's is able to get so much space here, but if you kill the whole team, the space he's creating is all for naught.
Exactly, precisely. They might want to think about, if they are having a hard time, try to go for maybe a Reaper play, as that Reaper will help you with that ground battle.
All right, pretty even on the percentages here. Both teams at 60%, but remember, Dreadfuls are in control of the point right now. Reese's just trying to get a little bit of poke damage in there, but Ad gets a huge pick onto the enemy Pharah, brought up right away, but now there's no Mercy res left over on the side of Dreadful. This might be a scary moment. This might be the swing turn that WM1 needed.
Dreadful doing a great job keeping the point. They are almost into that 91 percentile mark, meaning that if they lose the point, all they need to do is win one more fight. And it looks like they'll hold on to it until this last fight, hopefully. Or maybe they'll hold on to it for the rest of it and get that W.
And there you have it. First map did go to WM1, but the second map being taken by Dreadful there in fantastic fashion. And what they were able to do, what Dreadful was able to do that was so impressive. We talked about on both of these maps how critical it is to win that first fight. Remember, Dreadful lost the first fight on that map, but coming back into the second push on the second team fight, Dreadful, not with any ultimates available, but they did win the fight in a very clean fashion, hitting the shots they needed to hit, and then opening up the point once it got to about 60%. At that point, then the ult economies had evened out, so it was really just who could execute their game plan better, and coming up on that map was a Dreadful. Now we have the next map coming in. It looks like we're going to be seeing Dive on both sides, Mercy and Lucio on both sides. No Zenyatta here.
Definitely Zenyatta has been a powerhouse in the current meta, but especially with the King of the Hill maps coming in, Lucio has been worth his weight in gold.
Getting that first air shot, but it's so scary when the Mercy's pocketing her, because if you don't get that second air shot, she's going to be healed up, and the Pharah stays alive there, so some parting shots by the Pharahs. Nobody's taking the point yet, but Wash is trying to make it into the dreadful point here, getting the first pick on Lucio, and that is a huge deal. Not being able to build your Lucio sound barrier for the next engagement. We're not worried about this engagement because it looks like it's going for Dreadfuls, but this is even scarier because Reese's gets a kill in. I don't think it's going to be enough. The whole time that fight was going, Ad was building his ultimate at a lesser rate than Aimbot was over on the Dreadful side. So, you know, Beat's going to be available for Dreadful here, and that's going to take him a very long way in this next fight, because watching Aimbot, watching his ult percentage tick up, he is constantly doing something. He's getting damage in, he's getting healing in, and he's able to get that speed boost in when it matters.
And it looks like we already have a switch from the Pharah onto the Genji from Reese's, trying to see if they can win that ground battle on more of a traditional dive front. Hopefully they're able to do a bit more work, but it doesn't look like that, as the skies from Pharah are a bit too cloudy for them to handle.
And the fight is being brought here, and Fixer trying to pop off, gets the Mercy. That might be enough here, but man, WM1 is down a lot of teammates right now. It's going to be very difficult for them to get the full team wipe and cap the point, and it looks like just as things were getting started for WM1, they are taken out by the wonderful Dreadful. Here's what Dreadful is most powerful with right now. They're able to just maintain positioning on the point. When they capped it last time, they kept it the whole time through. Let's see if they're as good on defense here, now that Reese's is popping off, getting his second kill as Genji during this team fight. And here comes Vex with the barrage. Can he get any? He gets reflected by Reese's, getting the kill. Does get one onto Iron, but then Reese's comes in, pulling out the blade, gets the beat. He's getting booped though. He's not able to get any value for this.
And a wonderful beat from Aimbot fan, just making sure that his team stays healthy, but still getting a little bit of value. Reese's having a good time, but a big pulse bomb coming out of Dexa.
This is incredible, watching the determination of WM1, especially being, you know, completely carried by their tank play here. Fixer has been getting multiple kills per fight, and just the positioning that Fixer can take onto the point, it enables the rest of his team to get there with enough time. Now, the problem that's happening with WM1 right now is the time that they're granted on the point. You know, take a look at that Lucio beat plus Blade, one of my favorite combos, essentially making your essentially making your Genji invulnerable there. They weren't able to get any value out of it, and that's because Dreadful had such great peel for their healers.
It looks like Reese is on the Genji. Oh, almost able to get that Genji blade, but getting killed before he was even able to use it.
Yeah, it's all over except for the fanfare. It looks like the writing is on the wall here. Really sharp push initially that came out from WM1, but Dreadful showing that they are not a force to be taken too lightly. They were able to take the last point, hold it on defense, taking the point again here, getting a 99%, and you know, you gotta give it to WM1. They are not giving it up. We are still in overtime, folks, but it is going to be very difficult, and at this point, completely impossible for WM1 to switch the map over to their control. Incredible response there from Dreadful. They really got punched in the mouth in that very first map there. They just weren't expecting that Junkrat. I mean, Dabrat was able to just walk in and do whatever he wanted, getting 3 tires in such a short time was very impressive. But Dreadful showing that they can't be scared that easily, coming back, responding, and fragging out.
And very big shout out to Vexonus, just getting those big plays, and also to, I believe it was I'm trying was the Mercy. Getting a boosted Pharah is just so beneficial to your team when you're running that dive style. Making sure you're able to get hit after hit after hit, and getting those, much like the Junkrat on WM1, Dreadful was playing their spam comp with the Pharah in the sky, and that definitely helped them on their way to victory.
Yeah, it was very interesting to see. You know, we had Pharah duels going back and forth. a lot of times you might say that it's wrong to be a Pharah shooting at another Pharah when there's plenty of better targets on the ground, but when you have aim like Reese's was showing, getting that 2-shot onto Vex, which was absolutely incredible, sometimes it pays off. Get that mortar damage off your team, enable them enough time to cap the point. So it was very interesting to watch that Pharah v Pharah battle. Looks like we're going to Numbani next. Numbani's a very interesting point. There's plenty of ways you can take this. I've seen quad tank walking in on attack. I've seen dive just trying to take over the top right high ground. It's very, very dependent on whatever the teams feel most confident running. So are we going to see something like a basic dive, or are we going to see a little bit of an iteration on that? Can we see that Doomfist I saw locked in for a very brief moment? A man can dream.
Oh, man can only dream, and I'm right there with you, my man. We want to see the Doomfist. We want to see it right now. Will they actually play it?
The only problem that I have with Doomfist is he's not actually good here, but what we can see, these are very, very high level teams. And so what we're seeing so far is being able to enable your DPS to do their job. That's what makes some of these high level teams so fantastic. Of course they have the aim. They have a very good handle on how to play their hero and how to play it effectively. But one of the best things that you see out of these, super, super high level teams is they know the game plan, they know how to execute on that game plan, and more importantly, they know how to support each other as a cohesive unit to enable that game plan, right? So anytime you see somebody walking out, whether it's Torbjorn, which I'm sure we will not see because that's going to be coming on attack for Dreadful, or it's something else that's a little bit, off meta, they're only going to pick it if they've had a lot of practice playing it and a lot of practice making it work.
Exactly, and although, sadly, as you said, no Torb most likely. Well, who knows? Who knows? I mean, bamboozle me once, shame on you. Bamboozle me twice, up. But there comes the Winston. But coming in, definitely as you said before, these high level characters just want to get in. They have their game plan. They want to execute it, and they're gonna come in, and we're gonna see some great Overwatch today.
So it looks like we've got dive versus dive here. Pretty much you're always going to be going for the Zenyatta, but if you're going on the high ground, you really just want to find whoever's, alone. So it's not always going to be the Zenyatta, but do expect to see a dive to the top right, led by the Monkey.
And
a lot
definitely
of damage being traded back and forth, but not a whole lot happening. And then there goes aimbot getting taken out by Reese's. That might be enough to stop this stall right here. But now on the other side, Zenyatta's going down, and just like that, Dreadful walks in. They did not care about getting picked off early in that fight. They lost aimbot, but they won the point.
And definitely, probably a little confusion on how they were going to run that. If they were going to try to counter dive defense, or to wait until they get onto the point and then jump on them, or if they were going to try to do a preemptive assault on their defense. But just one pick after another, just Reese's getting that pick onto aimbot, just enabled that entire composition to just push on through.
Well, typically when you see the Zenyatta go up there by himself, he's really acting as bait, trying to force the tanks to use, tanks on the defending team, WM1, to use their abilities to get over to the Zenyatta, and then you counter dive behind that. But he just got shot by Reese's, so it seemed like Dreadful just had to make it work, and they were able to make it work on the back of their Tracer. Codexa using the Tracer bomb there, always a good idea. You're going to build it in about 15 seconds as Tracer, so you really want to throw it when you have the chance. Now Wash coming and getting the first kill of this skirmish.
Yeah, definitely.
Big fat blade coming in from Vex. Is he going to be able to get one? He gets one. He gets two. Can he make it anymore? Getting the Baby Diva, getting a free 2 kills there, and that in and of itself is enough to win this point, or I'm sorry, win this fight and potentially win the point.
Definitely have the point well, they have the point at this point. And just being able to pop off like that with a blade, getting 3 kills can secure you just so much space, so much of that precious payload length. And
that is such a huge deal there though. Vex was able to pressure that Zenyatta and force him to use Transcendence. In a situation like that, if you just kept the point, being able to pull the Transcendence out of the Zenyatta, yeah, the rest of your team is dying. You don't really care there because you're respawning right there, and now you're going into the next fight where Ad, who's the Zenyatta on WM1 on defense, he no longer has his Transcendence. And take a look at Vex, 77% to his blade, so there's going to be no response to Vex and his blade here, having forced out that Zenyatta Trans. Keep your eye on Vex because he's going to be looking to make a big play. Diva Bomb coming in, trying to get a little bit of space there, does take out the Zenyatta. That is a huge deal. That might be enough to hold this point here, but not if Reese's has anything to say about it. Popping his sacrifice, getting 1K, making it 2.
Yeah, and a wonderful play out of Reese's, knowing that he needs that high ground, and with point 3 of Numbani, he is able to get a fantastic vantage point, and especially on this lower archway, the upper area, just to play around as a soldier, just gives you so much room to work with, but it might be a bit harder now since the payload has moved beyond the point.
All right, so now we're in a scary situation. Ad died early in that last fight. He only has 37% to his Transcendence, and remember, Vex still has that blade ready to go. He's got plenty of ultimates behind him, 4 other ultimates ready to be used on attack here. And that might not happen because Fixer getting a 2K on both the healers, and you see Vex knows the number, knows exactly what to do as soon as that happens, using his dash to get out of dodge. What a fantastic Diva Bomb. You know, waiting for the enemy team to push, especially down that choke. They don't have anywhere to hide, and popping that bomb in, taking out the healers is such a huge deal.
And poor Meme Weaver just diving in so hard, trying to deny the space from Ad and, you know, and all the backline. But because of that amazing Diva Bomb by Fixer, just unable to get much value out of the space that he created.
Yeah, and it looks like WM1, you know, maybe they know that Ad, or maybe they're thinking that Ad doesn't have his trans, and they're trying to get the kills in first, but it's not going to be enough because Ad was not able to build it up. 85%, and then Vex is walking in with a massive blade, getting 2 kills on the board and doing a whole heck of a lot of damage to the tanks in the process. I think that blade and the tanks walking in is going to be more than enough for Dreadful to take this point, and we should see at least one more defense coming in from the side of WM1. They don't have a whole lot on their side other than Reese's blade, which could be enough if he uses it very, very carefully.
Yeah, and a wonderful push, just very, very aggressive, is what they needed to get any more space. But they will. But it looks like WM1 will be able to hold and contest this point.
Reese's popping the blade. He knows who his target is. He's going to be taking out the Zenyatta, but he gets taken out by Aimbot. Aimbot, no fear, getting pocketed by the Mercy. Takes out Reese's. Have a seat, Genji. Not today.
Already getting his ult as well, making sure they're able to continue on with the defense.
Aimbot does go down there, but you know, he died a hero, taking out the Genji sword, trying to keep his team into relevancy here. Now kills are being traded on the point, 4.8 meters left to go. Is this gonna be the push that Dreadful needed to get those last couple of meters? Not like this, because 2 CP type respawns are happening, and it looks like a full reset has been called by Dreadful. You know, the respawns being that close, obviously it's going to play a lot into what WM1 is able to do, but you really got to hand it to Ad. You know, stopping that Genji blade, even if Genji only got the Zenyatta there, that's a huge deal, but likely he gets his dash reset and then takes it out on the Mercy as well. So fantastic heads-up play by Ad, showing he doesn't need Transcendence to stop the blade.
And it's definitely going to be trying to see what win condition they can find. Definitely trying to get another Genji blade with Aimbot, trying to get his Transcendent, make sure that his Genji is able to stay alive.
All right, 2 ultimates ready on the attack here. Vex is pulling out his blade, looking for a target, taking out the Mercy in the sky. Vex is showing us what a Genji can do with his blade. He didn't even really see the Mercy. He knew she was up there hiding in the trees, took her out, opening the space for his team, but this might not be enough because now the respawns are coming back. 1 meter, 1.43 meters left onto the point. Can they get it? And it looks like the Dreadfuls do. What a fantastic final push there from Dreadful. It was looking very, very shaky. They had a few completely busted attacks there in the end. You know, Fixer obviously did so much for WM1, popping that Diva Bomb and killing those 2 squishies, those 2 healers, and we're gonna see it again here. That was such a huge deal. That killed an entire, about 30 seconds to a minute off the clock just by getting those 2 kills, because not only do you have to wait for your healers to respawn at that point, then you're also getting picked off as you're trying to leave and respawn with them. So you're just getting this snowball type effect that wastes all this time off the clock. But Dreadful showing that they didn't really need too much time. They just needed one cohesive push. And of course, you know, that giant Genji blade to be pulled out.
Yeah, and definitely just a great job overall on both sides, especially with that defense. You know, you have to wonder if you're getting that much value out of just a single ult just to stop a team push. I mean, it is worth it every single time.
Yeah, that's something that's often kind of ignored when you see a Genji pop his blade, and let's say the enemy team's Zenyatta pops Trance, or the enemy team's Lucio pops Beat. That's not always a loss for the Genji, because all that means is you traded 1 for 1. You traded a DPS ult, which you're going to build a whole heck of a lot faster than a healer ult. You traded those, and now as soon as that Transcendence ends or the beat wears off, that's when the rest of your team can come in and pick up on that opportunity that you gave them. So, you know, it's not always going to be a loss if you're getting, you know, countered by the enemy team's support. Sometimes you plan that out ahead of time, use the blade specifically for that, and then you can respond and push in after the fact. So, I mean, really, you gotta hand it to the Zenyatas here. We've been seeing a lot of smart Zenyatta play. I'm very curious to see if we see that run back, because the Zenyatas were under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, especially with both Genji, or with the Genji, just getting so much value out of each and every single blade. But it's gotta feel good every time you're able to at least 1 or 2 shot a Genji that's just dashing right at you. You're just a sad little robot, you know. You just want to hide away sometime.
We all feel like that sometimes, but it looks like we might be seeing those Omnics coming back, because we do have the Zenyatas back on both teams, aimbot on the Zenyatta, and of course Ad showing off once again. And just another classic dive here. I'm very curious to see if I'm Trying is going to stay on that Ana. It's not a bad idea. Really, what you want to do, if you're going to be running the Ana on defense here, you want to post your Ana up with the Soldier. Typically, you want to do, from the attacking perspective, the high ground right. And what you're going to do is you're going to have Soldier, if you get dove, pop his healing station down, Ana pops her nade down, and then it just gives you all the sustain to take out that dive as it comes in. I'm not sure if we're going to see WM1 hold this position back on the blue car. It is an interesting position. We don't usually see teams hold here. It can be very powerful. Potentially, it's just trying to bait in a dive from the enemy tanks and then shoot them from range.
Yeah, that is definitely a very, very interesting strat. I personally have not seen that strat before, so I'm very interested to see how it actually plays out.
The only thing that could be worrying is if Dreadful gets it, you know, even if they lose this first push, they really win because they get the information on what the defense is trying to do. So if they're able to get into a position and dive the backline, dive that on a Soldier, that's going to be a scary moment. Let's see how Dreadful approaches this problem, just getting straight to the point, getting on the high ground, pushing everybody off, and it looks like Aimbot is going to be the first one to go down, getting focused down very smartly by the dive. Incredible dive there, everybody diving on the same target at the same time. Codex is trying to do everything he can to stay alive. Can he do it? No, he cannot. He is finally taken out by Fix. Or I'm sorry, finally taken out by Fixer, and now it looks like WM1 might be the ones taking this point here. It was very, very interesting hold on defense that came out from Dreadful. I like where their head was at, but what we expected to see is exactly what we saw. By removing your Soldier, by removing your Ana from a good line of sight, remember, Ana can't really heal the Zenyatta until he drops down, until he peaks. By removing that sustain, Zenyatta was completely destroyed by WM1's dive. They jumped in, everybody got on the same target at the same time. Zenyatta goes down, and after that point, it's really just cleanup, because without your Zenyatta on the first fight, it's very difficult to maintain any level of sustain.
Exactly. And definitely one of those things I saw was
to the moon is monkeys, going back home with that Tracer Bomb, out of this map, out of this game, potentially out of the lobby. We're gonna have to check on him to make sure he's okay. WM1, very, very aggressive here. They're pushing their advantage, and they're just keeping this ultimate train rolling. Notice how they're using ultimates, but they always have more ultimates building. Reese's has that blade ready, and it looks like he's not gonna push it out here. He sees the D.Va, not a great target. He is gonna be waiting though, because you should expect to see Reese's using that blade very aggressively to cap this next point.
Oh, waiting for that D.Va bomb to come in, getting nothing from it, but still a good zoning tool.
It is a great zoning tool, because when that D.Va's bomb is going in, you know the rest of the team is going to be hiding, and that enables the rest of your team to push in. So, you know, saying something is a zoning ult is not always an excuse for a bad ultimate. Sometimes it gives your team the space that they needed to fill up and pick off people who were caught out on their own. And, you know, you don't have to take my word for it. Just look what happened. Fantastic ultimate usage there from Wash on the side of Dreadful. Very smart, saving the second point cap, which could have very easily led to a third point cap. It's all about the snowball when you're pushing the payload.
Exactly. And as they're going to be coming on in, going to have a side on WM1 with the Diva Bomb of their own. But they have the ult advantage here. They'll be able to take a little bit of a fight themselves.
All right, Winston jumping in first, but he's all alone. He is probably going to be using his ultimate. There we go. We've got a trance being baited out here. This is a scary moment because Reese's is looking to pull out his blade, and he does. He's going to be going for the Zenyatta first. No value at all. Zenyatta held his own, got the Discord. Meme comes in, protects his Zenyatta. Fantastic peel coming in from WM1, keeping their Zenyatta alive for as long as they can. I think they learned their lesson on the first point. Keep your Zenyatta up and win the game.
Yeah, that seems to be the name of the game, as you said. Keep your Zen up, win the game, because right now, Zen is super busted. It's just able to do the damage, able to heal, and all in all, he's a happy robot now. Very happy Omnic indeed.
So now we're in a position where WM1 on attack, they have to ask themselves a question. Are we going to try to invest a lot into this? Because we don't, first of all, we don't have anything to invest, but or are we going to try to bait out some enemy ultimates? Are we going to go in super aggressive, try to confirm a quick kill, and force the defending team, WM1, to use some ultimates? That way, it's a little bit more level playing field for WM1 to get the attack.
Yeah, and just waiting for the attack, trying to get that high ground. Very valuable on both sides.
And that is a nightmare scenario for Codex. He is popping his tactical visor, gets taken out right away from Reese's, and it doesn't look like WM1 needs any ultimates here, but then Wash shows why you do, gets a 3K on the healers. Wash, we are seeing some fantastic defensive Diva Bombs. That was incredible from WM1. We saw it from Wash, last time we saw it from Fixer. We're seeing some really sharp Diva Bombs that are either buying time or giving you enough time to kill the enemy team, but then Reese's bombs back in, getting some kills of his own. This might be what WM1 needed to get a cap on this point. They're so close, 1 meter. 0.31 meters, and the trance is being popped there. That is not a great trance that came in from aimbot. At that point, maybe it was a panic ult. Maybe he thought he could stall to let everybody else get back in time, but that is a huge deal. Losing the transcend is there. All that means is the next 2-3 fights, you don't have it available, and Reese's, once again, has his blade and is looking to use it.
Definitely going to be looking at aimbot to see how fast he's able to get that trance back, because with the definitely having his ult staggered away from his other DPS, from the other fight, and also from Reese's, who, if he's able to time it right and get a few team fights in his favor, can try to get his blade going while there is no defensive ult to use.
Aimbot getting a very fat headshot, leveling the playing field here. It's a 5v6, but now Ad gets a kill of his own. We've got a 5v5 in our hands, and who's going to win? Genji smartly moves away after having killed this Zenyatta, looking for a new victim.
Fixer doing a great Diva Bomb just to take away part of the defense as they can try to continue on with this point.
And I don't like to give a lot of credit and say one team member is carrying the fight, but you have got to give credit where credit is due. Reese's is in the right place at the right time, getting as many kills as possible, opening this up for his team. And again, we're seeing another team fight go in the way of WM1.
And trying to continue on with the team fight, making sure Fantasy gets back up into the fight.
Vex with a massive 3K, make it 4K, getting the headshot on the baby Diva as she's demeched from his high noon.
Yeah, and definitely with Memeweaver already out of the fight, able to get no barrier for anything.
Now this is a little bit of the nightmare scenario this time coming in for Dreadful. They have no ultimates on their side. Codexa needs to get a very fat Tracer Bomb to stop any sort of push here because Fantasy's walking in with that bomb. Reese still has that blade, and then Yuno is going to be coming in with the Valkyrie. Valkyrie Blade is a very scary combo.
Definitely, especially with the damage boost, able to get everyone damage boosted. Nothing besides
and here
maybe
comes the blade. It's being pulled out right now. Can you find any squishy targets? Does get the dash reset from the Lucio. Missed it out on Vex because the rest of his team killed Vex too fast. And that's a good problem to have. I mean, yeah, you're bummed you lost the Swift Strike reset, but the problem was your team was too good. They killed things too fast before you could do damage, and now WM1 is being pushed back into their own spawn. This is very frightening. I don't know how you're going to come out here and get any sort of purchase onto the point, but they're showing me how it's done right now. These tanks are incredible on defense. creating so much space on the point, getting kills in the meantime, and this might be the WM1 just taking it to the end. Can they do it? 0.74 meters left, WM1!
And here's where we're going to see the respawn advantage of...
What an incredible match. I was with you on that respawn advantage. I did not expect to see the tank play that came out from WM1. Again, what you want from your tanks is you want them to enable the rest of the team. Here's the scary thing with WM1 there on attack. They enabled the rest of the team, and they were confirming kills all the while. We saw Fixer on that Diva just really, really doling out tons of damage, just being a big body that stopped anybody from getting any kind of space. They can't shoot past you if you're a Diva. You've got the defense matrix. Really, really annoying hero to actually beat. And just stellar tank play enabled WM1 to get back into that fight. But of course, you've got to give the credit to Reese's. Some of the cleaner Genji gameplay we've seen in a long time here. Very, very smart. Does not make a lot of mistakes. He was taken out with the Tracer Bomb, but that's going to happen sometimes. Really, really smart play that came out from WM1 there to get it to the end.
Yeah, and definitely thought, as I said before, was with the respawn advantage, especially with the clock ticking, once you get it into that overtime, gives the advantage to the attacking team as long as they still have their 6 up. So if they're still staggering in, that overtime respawn just starts being a real nuisance comparative to when you're defending.
All right, so Hanamura is going to be the next map that we see, and these are very evenly matched teams. You know, we mentioned this a little bit earlier, UTech, but I want to go back to it. What we're seeing between WM1 and Dreadful is they're both jockeying to force the enemy team to play by their own tempo. And what I mean by that is WM1 is very good at pressing advantage. The moment they see an advantage or even a perceived advantage within the team, they think somebody's low, they're good at committing and they're good at sticking to that. Now, the reason that's such a problem is on the other side with Dreadfuls, they're doing the same thing. They have the same fantastic focus fire. They have these really, really smart, well laid out plans. You know, their dive is looking great. So they're both executing their game plans, but it's going to be, the deciding factor is going to be who can force the other team onto their heels and make them play into your game plan. That's going to be what we're looking to see here, is the execution side of these game plans that both teams are bringing in.
And definitely going to be seeing a change of pace, especially on the side of defense. Not going to be running a dive defense, but going to be going for the Orisa and Hog. Maybe they'll be able to help change the tempo into their favor, trying to maybe slow things down, not have everything just be fast, everything be, you know, just let's go, and try to just be an immovable object as Orisa is.
Well, you have a couple of options. If you're on attack here, you see that they have the ball and chain combo with Orisa, with Hog. You have 2 options. You can slow it down, burn through the shield, try to get a pick, or you can just hit W, get to the point, and punch him in the mouth. Knowing WM1, I don't think they're going to be scared from this by this Orisa Hog combo. I feel like we're going to see them just walk right in and try to win the fight as soon as possible.
Definitely going to see what they have to bring to the table. Looking forward to see what WM1 has to bring.
Oh, and that's not what you want to see from your Genji. Reese is using his deflect, but does not get behind the door, and Wash makes him pay with a hook.
Fantastic. Hopefully that will give them the high ground for Dreadful, making sure that they have at least a little bit of area to work with and continuing on with this attack.
Yeah, this is a dead push here. Hopefully everybody on the side of Dreadful just jumps off the map, tries to respawn, or they're going to just try to hold back here and wait for the rest of the team to come with them. No! Fantasy! Blinked off the map, cut the VOD. Let's forget that happened, but that's going to be a complete death of this attack here. And maybe that was on purpose, like we said before. You know, just trying to respawn with your team, but man, that did not look good. I do believe, though, that that was on purpose. Really what WM1 needs to do here is just get a full 6, walk in, and kill the Zenyatta.
Especially that, and also try to maybe build up their ultimates, see if that will work for them. Maybe bait out a few dry pushes, see if they can get that ult advantage through the long haul, and maybe just fight a few skirmishes on the way, especially since the defense has a long walk after their spawn.
Yeah, so now we're in a situation where essentially nothing has happened, right? Nothing's really happened in the fight. Both teams are pretty much equal on ult advantage. But there's been about 2 minutes taken off the clock, and that's just by Dreadful staying smart, staying alive, and staying on the point. So now we're going into this fight basically at the start with only 2 minutes. You know, cutting that time in half is such a huge deal. Fantasy is able to get the first kill in, but then Codexa responds with a kill of his own. Kills are being traded back and forth. It's very difficult to say who's going to be taking it here. I don't know, because now Codexa is popping his ultimate. I don't know if he's going to be able to get any value. Nobody's there. Nobody's in his line of sight. Aimbot doesn't help if there's nobody in front of you.
Definitely a big fights coming out from both sides.
And Reese's with the fat blade, UTech. How many times have we seen Reese's followed by this the phrase fat blade? How many times have we said that?
Too many to count, because I don't even know what's going on at this point anymore. There's just every other time I look, I try to look away, I try to look at the nice birds outside, and there's Reese's coming in with a big fat blade.
Well, the scary thing was Aimbot was taken out, and you can see that the Mercy was trying to res him, but WM1 is so smart. They knew that Mercy was going to be coming in for the res. They camped the body, completely disallowed any sort of resurrection there, and that's what swung the fight. Now the question is WM1 just going to walk onto point and force the fight there, or are they going to contest this high ground?
Definitely going to see what they can get in there. Maybe they'll be able to bait out the high ground, try to get them down, but Weaver dropping down. Unlucky for him, though.
All right, both teams are getting a little bit split here. Now we've got the first Transcendence being popped by Aimbot on the defense here. Can Codexa get in it in time? He does. Staying alive is Codexa, building his ultimate, and finally taken out by Reese's. But this is going to be a very long fight unless kills are coming in, and the focus fire from WM1 is absolutely incredible.
And we have to definitely give a lot of props to Fantasy on that Tracer play, able to get the pickups, and already almost has another Pulse Bomb after using it already.
All right, watch out here, because another fight will be taken on a point, but not if Reese's has anything to say with it. Getting 3 kills, including 2 healers. Reese's is pulling his weight here, making a 4K of this fight. Reese's is not allowing anybody to get any space, and what's really, really incredible by WM1 is not only the focus fire, but they're just always shooting Discord targets too. I feel like everybody on this team has Discord. There's no room to breathe.
And a wonderful attempt to try to delay as much time as they could, get the stall going on, even taking out the Mei just to try to get an additional 5 seconds from the ice block.
Well, I really want to bring us back to, you know, when open up that point, UTech, and what it was. You know, we saw we even got a chance to see Trying's camera had popped the Valkyrie, trying to go in and res that Zenyatta aimbot who had died early in the fight, and smartly chose not to res because, you know, saw that the enemy team was camping the body, which is obviously very smart to do. But from that point forward, exactly what we said would happen happened. The moment WM1 was able to force the enemy team into a position, force them back on their heels, that's when WM1 looks so just completely oppressive on the game. But it's those small mistakes, and good teams like WM1, and of course good teams like Dreadful, when they have the opportunity as well, they take those small mistakes and they turn them into 2 points cap.
It's definitely coming in, and as we have to say, WM1 is definitely being very, very aggressive and feeling a lot more comfortable as these games have been going. I know Dreadful on the very first point, seeing flexing their muscles at the very beginning, but after that, WM1 has just been coming back with a vengeance after all these games and just been able to do fight after fight after fight, fat blade after blade, pulse bomb after pulse bomb. You know, they're just playing some good Overwatch, my man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very, very fun to watch. And now keep your eyes on the tanks. The tanks should be the one to dictate this fight. This is dive versus dive. This is all about whose tank makes the first mistake. It's all about mistakes here and capitalizing on those mistakes. Dreadful very aggressive positioning here. They walk right through, don't even really stop for anything except, well, now they're stopping for the Genji, but yeah, here they come now, walking right through. This is what we expect to see out of Dreadful, unabashed aggression, but Aimbot's gonna pay for it with his life. Vex getting a kill on the Mercy, that's a huge deal. Kills are being traded back and forth, but now losing the Mercy is Dreadful. This might be enough to stop the point here. Every time I say that, the tanks are walking in, Wash getting a kill, Meeb getting a kill. Is this gonna be enough?
No, see, still going on with the defense, and they're able to hold it.
But this is the moment where Dreadful has to decide, do we want to take a very short fight here, maybe walk in with 3, walk in with 4, knowing that we have the respawn advantage, or are we going to group up for 6 and go for a 6v6 fight? Looks like it might be the latter because now all the respawns are back. Dreadful's knocking on the door. How is WM1 going to respond? Monkey going in right away for the Zenyatta, but he smartly moves up the stairs. Very, very smart play, but you can't run forever. Zenyatta finally taken down. Vex returning the favor on the enemy team Zenyatta.
Yeah, and definitely a great play by Memeweaver, able to get in that back line, making sure no one is able to do that much damage, just get the space that they need. But even then, that's gonna still be a very, very valiant defense by WM1, but it would be enough.
Look at Codexa just staying alive for so long on that point. That was incredible by Codexa.
Yeah, definitely some great tracer play coming out of there, making sure he's able to get those focus fires. And now he already has a pulse bomb farmed up, and they're gonna have some DPS ults to play with coming onto the second point.
This is a very interesting moment. Aimbot, notice he switched off of the Zenyatta. He's now onto the Lucio. Lucio only with 24% to beat. So if Reese's pops off with an incredible blade, a defensive blade here, there's really nothing to stop him. And Reese's knows exactly where the place is, and it's the enemy team with his blade, pulling up the blade, taking out the Monkey, pumping out so much damage, but can't reach. I'm trying now in the Valkyrie form, not going to be able to be touched.
Another blade coming out of Vex, but gets taken down himself.
And this might be a full hold. Oh no, I'm sorry. It looks like even though the fight was lost there by Dreadful, it's really a win in their book. They got 1 tick on the point, and that is nothing to sneeze at when you're talking about 2 CP. If you can shorten the time you have to stay on point to win, down from 3 ticks down to 2 ticks, that's a huge deal. WMD is smelling blood. They're walking in right away.
Yeah, and they were able to get a very good stagger onto Wash and the Baby Diva, waiting till the very last second to try to get a kill, buying them that much more seconds.
Yeah, this is where WM1 really has to have the rubber hit the road. They know they're down a tick on the point. They have to be aggressive here. They have to walk in and confirm these kills early before things get too out of control. Dreadful is pulling out the Mercy Valkyrie for this one. They're definitely investing here, but Reese's getting a kill onto Vex. That's a huge deal. Pulling out the blade, getting the Mercy out of this guy is Reese's. Once again, a fantastic blade by Reese's.
And an amazing job that they're doing here. Another amazing hold coming out of Reese's, getting the 4K if I'm not mistaken. Just amazing counter dive on the defense from the right side of Hanamura onto the left side, just making sure that they're playing to the high ground, and it just shows you the power of dive on second point Hanamura.
Absolutely, and this is what Dreadful needs to just slow down their game plan a little bit. They did go into those last 2 fights very quickly, but now they need to get back to a position where they have Memeweaver on the Winston and Wash on the Diva in the same place at the same time. That is so powerful, and if you just get back to those basics, and then of course have your Tracer pop off and win the 1v1, that might be exactly what Dreadful needed to cap this point.
And definitely utilizing the beat a little early to make sure that they can get the space that they need, but not finding too much value out of it.
So many ultimates being used on both sides here. It looks like it might be going in the way of Dreadful. They are on the attack here. Codexa getting another kill. Memeweaver walking in, getting a kill of his own. The fight is on point, but the respawns are coming in very quickly for the defense.
Definitely going to be an uphill battle from here, as it is a 6v5 situation coming in, as health is ticking down on the attacking side of Dreadful, making sure that no one, and it's already at that point, it's basically a hold, and Codexa is going to have to get out there. I mean, he can play around, maybe trying to get what he can for another pulse bomb, but already that high, already in the 90s to get it, you could probably just wait out with a little bit of poker in the next fight.
It can't be understated how important Codexa is to this. Not only is Codexa getting a lot of kills on that Tracer, but is being such a nuisance to the enemy team's Zenyatta. Ad has no room to breathe, no space to even push out and support his team because Codexa is constantly just always alive, staying behind and poke, and if not poking, getting some kills. And that's exactly what you want from your Tracer. Look, Tracer's in there again. Ad is down, completely out of this fight. Codexa once again showing what it's like to be a fantastic Tracer player, opening up the point, but is Dreadful in a position to take that spot onto the point, get those last two ticks.
And definitely a defensive blade used by Reese's, but might secure a overall team win for Dreadful, as they have not had to use ults, and they're going to have 6 ults online soon, so they might be able to take this in a positive spin on this next fight.
All right, Fixer getting a huge kill there for WM1, getting the kill onto the Lucio. That's pretty much going to stop the point here. Both Diva Bombs being used. Who's going to get more value out of it? It looks like Wash did get the Mercy. That could be a huge deal, but then the enemy team's Diva is going down by Fixer. We're getting kills being traded back and forth. No telling who's going to come up with the win on this point.
Definitely on the advantage of the attacking side of Dreadful, as they were able to take out both Yuno and Ad in the beginning, but because of those short respawn times, they're going to be able to come back and keep up the defense.
WM1 is once again showing you what the power of focus fire can do. They were heavily not favored coming into that fight. It really looked like that could have been the end for WM1. They lost another tick on the point. They're down 2 ticks on the point. But just by staying calm and focusing on those Discord targets, diving the same target all at once, you're able to stay alive, give your respawns time to get back onto the point, support you, and now we're in a position with 45 seconds left for Dreadful to get one more tick on the point.
Yeah, and Codexa switching over to the Widowmaker, trying to see what they can do.
Oh, poor Mercy. Is she going to be taken out? She finally is taken out. Meanweaver getting the support in there for Vex, popping off with the visor, getting 1, make it 2, getting the Diva out of mech. Vex was very smart, using his visor at the right point to get that Mercy out of the sky.
Yes, and a great play by Vex, making sure that you has the high ground to get them their win condition, let everyone off the point, but still, with the last few seconds on the clock, that respawn advantage of 2 CP is real, and it's very, very hurtful if you're not able to kill everyone in one go.
Reese's is not dying. He is still on the point. He's given his team so much time to get back, and now we're back to almost a fair fight on the point, and it's going in the way for WM1. They're just constantly staying alive, getting all these kills on point, and with the 2 CP respawns that Hanamura offers, very defensively favored, Codexa can get a few more kills. We're going to need to get about 6, 7, 8 more kills before the end of this fight.
Yeah, definitely delayed. Prolonged fight, Baby Diva coming on point. Codexa doing a fantastic job, just getting pick after pick, trying to do what he can for his team, but unable. Oh, and Meweaver coming right in. I thought he was actually going to be able to get that tick.
And Dreadful got 2 CP'd out of existence there. That is a very frustrating moment. You did a lot of things correct. You had great chemistry between your DPS, your tanks at certain moments there, but it was all for naught because 2 CP respawns happened and you were not able to cap. Just taking a quick look back on another fantastic blade from Reese's. It's so fun to watch a player like Reese's, right? You don't really see that panic. He doesn't commit to anything unless he knows he can win the engagement, and very smartly pulls out if he knows that he can't win that engagement. So that's what we're really seeing here. These team fights happen so fast, it's very difficult to parse what's actually going on, but it's the same thing over and over and over again. Either the Tracer, Codexa, is walking in, getting a pick, enabling the team to follow up, or you have that advantage of having somebody low and the entire team dives. So it's these long moments of just nothing happening, one person gets picked, and then all of a sudden there's a firefight on the point. That's how you can tell that we're looking at some high-level teams here. Any mistakes that are being made are punished very quickly. So it's really, really incumbent on you to not open up that position, not open up that possibility for mistakes, and not give the enemy team any room to breathe.
Yeah, and definitely Codexa playing out of its mind. A lot of those pushes, going alone, basically 1v4ing, 1v3ing the backline, just to try to get them off of the main group. But unfortunately, unfortunately for them, every time you'd have Reese's coming in with the blade, you have someone else utilizing uh, their space and just kind of meeting the push before they're able to get to the point.
Yeah, it's so many back and forth fights there. We can say that Dreadful really got, the 2 CP treatment. At the end of the day, though, there was a few moments that we saw from Dreadful where, Codexa was doing everything in her power as that tracer to just open up opportunities, right? We talked about punishing those mistakes. Codexa was very, very strong at punishing those mistakes. It's just the timing was a little bit off with her tanks. The moment she was getting those kills onto the Zenyatta, the tanks were able to come in. A lot of times, though, it was 5, 6, 7 seconds late. And that doesn't sound like much, but if you keep in mind these short respawns and how close the defensive respawns are to the point, it's almost like you didn't even get a kill on the Zenyatta in the first place. So what we're going to look to see is much, much tighter dives. If you're going to stick with that dive, everybody needs to be on the same page, and losing even 1 or 2 seconds can be the difference between a team wipe and a full hold.
And one of the things I am very, very impressed and appreciative is just how fast these teams are able to reset each and every time. Once they lose the fight, they know it's lost. They'll go out, they'll reset, they'll come right back in. It's just one fight after another, after another, and after another. And that definitely tells you about the synergy and the skill level of each and every single player in this entire scrim.
So, UTech, let's put you in the position where you're going up against Reese's, right? You've seen some really incredible Genji play. I'm sure we're going to see some other things as this scrim progresses. And if we just see more Genji play, hey, that's great. We get more high quality play. But if you know that the enemy team has such an oppressive, such a dominant DPS on their side, I mean, you're putting the Discord on them. But really, how do you respond to somebody like Reese's?
It definitely depends. Granted, I think we could all think we could cheat when using the Brigitte. Can never say it correctly. Brigitte. But definitely, since teams are still getting used to it, still getting used to what strategy to use, you might have to just go double heal meta. Go for someone who can be a little bit more slippery. Maybe do a Mercy Moira, even though you won't get the damage, granted, and you won't have the defensive ult. Just having the survivability to actually get into the fight might be a huge lifesaver.
It's certainly very well could be a huge lifesaver. And just thinking about sustain throughout the fight, Brigitte is going to be coming out in competitive. She is not enabled for this scrim because the players that we're watching right now are practicing for open division tournament that's coming up, and Brigitte is not allowed in that tournament. But what you do need to keep in mind is, once we get to a map like Dorado it's one of my favorite maps because there's so many opportunities to switch up your team comp, right? If you're walking into if you're attacking on Dorado, the opening phase that you walk into, there's a lot you can do there. You can go straight with the pharmacy. You can go walking in with, dive. You can do a spam comp, quad, tank, whatever you want to do. And then typically in the streets phase, if you do get that far enough on attack, you really want to contest that high ground. So what you'll see a lot of times is on Dorado, the team comp you see the attacking team start with is not the same team comp you'll see throughout the entire match. That's why I like it so much. It really tests your game theory and how you can execute on a specific game plan. Now, with that in mind, Dreadful needs to find a way to, yes, change what they're doing depending on the part of the map they're on, but really start putting some beefier health pools in front of Reese's. We've seen that Reese's, when he has the opportunity to dive anything lower than 250 health, that hero dies immediately. So maybe you get some more tanks in there. Run quad tank. I would love to see pentatank. I don't really care what you do, but there's got to be a response to Reese's, and it's got to happen fast.
Well, I think you're getting a little ahead of yourself with pentatank. You should definitely go with sextuple tank. Just all 6 tanks. We don't need no sustain. I mean, well, actually, you could go quad tank and a soldier 76. That's enough healing, correct?
I'm not too sure about that one. Typically what we see in those quad tanks, you'll see a Moira. A lot of times you'll see a Lucio. Really what you're looking to do is just sustain the fight for extended periods of time and then just, beat the enemy team in attrition. You're pecking down damage. They're pecking down damage on you, but your health pools just enable you to win that fight just by, proxy of having that much more health. But we no longer have to speculate. It looks like Dorado is going to be started here. And just as a reminder to everybody watching, this is Horizon Overwatch ScrimNight. We've got WM1 going up against Dreadful. Some very hotly contested fights so far, and I'm very, very excited to see what comes out here on Dorado. Is it going to be Iron Crit on the Doomfist? This is a map where you can actually get away with that. The Doomfist, it's not everybody's forte. You have to play him very differently. He's a combo-oriented assassin with a very high skill cap. And, the moment you make a mistake, you're pretty much guaranteed to die as Doomfist. So we might not see him come out here unless Iron Crit's been practicing for quite some time.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a treat to watch. But one thing we'll also have to look for is Fantasy and Codexa both on the Widowmakers. Definitely going to be seeing some sniper battles coming in. A perfect map to get those line of sights and just to get the drop on one another, just with all the walls that you have to play with, just the sneaky areas vertically you can kind of get behind, get the drop on someone. It's going to be interesting to see what strategies they pull off to try to get the advantage.
And we might see the Widow v Widow duel. I think it's very difficult on defense to play Widowmaker. You have to be a lot better than the attacking Widowmaker. The reason behind that is, if you're Fantasy and you take out Codexa on the Widowmaker, she's going to respawn in 10 seconds. Alternatively, if she takes out you, your team has no defensive capabilities. You're not there laying down shots from range, and the attacking team can just walk in. So Fantasy is really going to have to stay alive here and win a lot of these Widow duels to enable her team to stay in this fight.
Yes,
taking a very sneaky positioning here, but it looks like Codexa is taking the same positioning. Oh, and that is not what you want to see. Fantasy Codexa walks in and gets a kill for free on the standing still Widowmaker. That is going to open up the point here for Dreadful. Now Codexa has fantastic positioning behind the enemy team.
Definitely going to have to wait until they get their Widowmaker back just to get that extra bit of damage and try to hope they can get another contest on the point.
Oh, but now it doesn't really matter so much that Fantasy is back, because another kill, and make that a third kill, goes in the way of WM1. They're just taking out the defense here. That is very scary if you're on defense. Losing this point here is okay, but losing it in such spectacular fashion with the Widowmaker walking in and just completely owning this, these high grounds, that is not okay. There was a little bit of a response from Fixer, was able to push Codexa off of the high ground with that Diva, but it didn't do too much. She's still in the fight, she's still here, and now walls are up too.
Yeah, and definitely seeing Red with the wall hacks, not wanting to show off their position right now, and it looks like a pause is being called out. Gives us a little bit of a chance to just take a break and kind of figure out what went wrong with that past fight.
You can exclusively track it back down to Codexa winning that Widow 1v1 against Fantasy. The reason it's such a problem, so let's say, for example, Fantasy was on any other DPS. Let's say McCree instead. McCree has a lot of stomping power in the choke there. The flashbang can be very powerful. You're getting good, consistent damage downrange. And that's great. What you lose with that positioning, what you lose with that stopping power when you pick a Widow instead, you better make up with headshots. You better make up with picks, because the moment you're taken out on defense, if you're the Widowmaker, you're taken out on defense, not only are you not there to get picks, but you're not on another hero who might be more active in the fight with that stopping power at the choke. So, it's a balancing act between what you bring to the fight, and if you're a Widowmaker, same thing if you pick Hanzo, you better be guaranteed to get some headshots. Now, completely in Fantasy's favor, had it not happened like that, maybe had a different look, different angle on Codexa, probably could have carried that entire point to a full defense. But as it stands right now, Codexa got the first 1v1 duel won, and that opened up the point for the entire Dreadful staff to walk in.
And especially with that opening, as they were trying to just regroup, unable to do so, especially since the sightlines of a Widowmaker are so vast, making sure that anyone that they're gonna get some free shots on anyone that's just trying to willy-nilly retreat.
And hopefully this pause is given a little bit more time for WM1 to figure out, what the heck are we doing? We have the Mercy Valkyrie ready. Are we going to be aggressive and just jump in? Are we going to wait for Blade? How do we attack this next point? What we've seen so many times on these payload maps is if the attacking team gets this boat moving, if they get this payload moving, if they get the snowball rolling, it's so hard to stop. What you want to do is get an early fight here, kill the momentum, and give your defense a chance to breathe. Without that, it's going to be very difficult for WM1 to stop it once it gets past second point.
Definitely going to be interesting to see how they play around the church here, trying to get the high ground advantage, see what they can and get who gets the drop on who.
All right, Reese's not pulling out that blade. He is scared that aimbot has the Transcendence ready, but he did not know that aimbot did not have the Transcendence ready. Still trying to pull it out here, but it doesn't even need the blade. Just able to get the kills in the most honest way possible with the shurikens and melee, getting the Swift Strikes in there. So no blade needed. Valkyrie was popped by Yuno just to enable that fight to be won without any other ultimates being invested into that fight. And that shows you the power of Mercy with dive. If you get your whole team diving and you're a Mercy damage boosting them in, it is so difficult on the receiving end of that to do anything. You're gonna die that much faster, and then you just have no way to beat the sustain that the Mercy Valkyrie offers in a fight like that.
Definitely have to also give some major props to the tanks here, able to create the space, and also trying to drown out the Widowmaker on the side of Dreadful.
WM1 getting 2 kills here. Reese's going straight for the Widowmaker. Codexa will likely see swap off because it doesn't look like Widow has that free reign on her high ground anymore. You can still probably get a couple of picks here. Maybe you can open up the fight, but it's very difficult when the enemy team, when the defending team owns the high ground. If you want to be a Widowmaker, you're going to have to use your grapple to get up there, and then you have no defensive tools to get away once you get dove.
Yeah. And definitely a great job again by those tanks, making sure that their entire team has the space they need to work on, and you don't want that enemy Widow to have free reign.
What a beautiful angle we got on the dive from Dreadful. All of the tanks, including the Mercy, going up, trying to get as much damage in as possible, not getting any kills as a result, and aimbot goes down very hard with Reese's walking in, getting the triple shuriken to the head, pulling out the blade. And everybody at this point just has to run. Reese's is so dominant. He saw his opportunity. The moment he got the kill onto that Zenyatta, who, had Transcendence available, but probably smartly didn't use it. He wasn't near anybody, but the moment he got that kill on the Zen, he knew he was free to pull out the blade and completely cleaned up that fight. So now WM1 is in a very dominant position here from what we originally saw Dreadful with that headshot, walking in on the first point. That's not working anymore. So how is Dreadful going to respond?
And exactly, and WM1 definitely having a very, very stronger dive in their defense, but with that, Fantasy already getting taken
Vex
down.
Coming in and completely disrespecting Fantasy. Fantasy did not see that coming, taken out right away. Vex, your team lost the fight, but man, that was a fantastic attack there. Even better, Vex is able to stay alive and force out the Transcendence from Ad. That is a huge deal. Vex is carrying this fight single-handedly.
And an amazing.
That is UTech. That is still a one fight for Dreadful. Take out the Widow, make her question her positioning, and then force out that Trans. UTech. That's a scary moment when you see that when you see that Genji coming at you.
Yeah, I'm speechless. Just in that camera view, just seeing that, I was there. I saw it. I flinched.
But this time, not getting as much value. Fantasy got down to about 1 bar, but then did get Vex going in a little bit too deep there, opening the point up for Reese's to pull out the blade, trying to get the kill. Does get the kill on the Winston, trying to make it 2. Easy kill on the Mercy there. And again, WM1 completely stifles what Dreadful is trying to do here. Every time Dreadful comes in, they have some sort of advantage. WM1 just shows off time and time again. They do not panic. They stick to their game plan. And they really, really show off what that can do for you here. They're winning almost every single engagement past that first one.
Definitely, maybe they'll have to try to play around the church a little bit, maybe get a different angle of attack, see what they can, but until then, they're gonna be poking around, seeing what advantage they can get with Vex having that blade, and also the Mad Monkey coming online we'll see what plays are going to be made.
Vex very cautiously not pulling out the blade there. Knows Winston has that ult ready, so does not want to get bounced around too much. Still hanging on to the blade, but now Reses are coming in with a giant deflect as Vex. Another disrespectful kill on Fantasy. Fantasy, have a seat because Vex is here.
What a play that was, but he's going to be changing onto the Tracer, trying to get back to the point as soon as possible. There are only 13 seconds, 10 seconds left on the clock. Let's see if they can try to snuff out the rest of this push in what they can, although it's going to be a little hard since they don't have any ults to work with.
But Ad may be able to get some time for his tanks. Yes, he does. He pulls a Transcendence here, just trying to keep everybody alive for as long as possible. Genji's going to be pulling out the blade here. Reese's has the blade available. Is he going to use it? Yes, he does. He pulls out the blade, looking to get a kill. Takes out the Lucio. Now Vixer gets a kill of her own. This might be the defense that WM1 needed here. But now it's a 5v6, and Dreadful is not going to give this up without a good fight.
And definitely advantage to WM1 as they are getting pick after pick after pick. 3 people only left for Dreadful as they're fighting for their lives.
And just like that, WM1 seemed to stutter step a little bit on the end there. Did lose an engagement off of the fantastic efforts that came in from Vex, getting the deflect kill, pulling out the blade, getting as much value as possible. But notice what WM1 did there on the defense. They knew it was overtime. They didn't, again, panic and just start sending people out there one at a time. They waited until there was only a couple meters left for the next point and all pushed out simultaneously. That's something you don't see on ladder a lot. You see a lot of people, you know, freaking out just because they lost a team fight, running in there and dying. You want to wait for 6, let the point get, you know, 1 meter away. It doesn't really matter because you're hinging your total defense on winning 1 fight. And if you can win 1 fight as a team with 6, especially with Transcendence, which is exactly what we saw WM1 do, you see the results.
Yeah, definitely some great discipline coming out of WN1 with a fantastic defense on there. Definitely spoke too soon when said no ults, but those support ults were able to keep them in the fight and allow them to just keep their players up that much longer. And considering they have a little bit of advantage, especially when it comes to overtime defense, since the offense needs to have at least 1 person on that cart, just gave them that slight advantage and gave them pick after pick after pick and just allowed them to snowball from there.
All right, so it looks like Fantasy and Codexa want to run this Widow duel back. They want to, we see them both instantly pick onto that Widowmaker. We know what we're going to see here. Now the question is Codexa going to get bamboozled like Fantasy did the time previous? And it looks like Fantasy might be switching off here. This is not what we want to see. People will riot if we don't see Fantasy on Widowmaker.
Yeah, definitely Codexa looking for that revenge. I'm sure he is thinking right now that he wants to see that Widowmaker. He wants to get that juicy headshot to just try to rub it in his face.
And I think Fantasy, this is a little bit smarter here, not going for the Widow duel, which of course we all want to see, but going with a very, very tight dive with the rest of the team. Dreadfuls know that they have to open up this point quickly and punish any mistakes. That is not a great way to run in though. I think maybe Vex might have thought had an extra blink available, did not, pays for it with her life. And that is a huge deal because now Dreadful is back on their heels, trying to figure out what they can do to stop this cart. They're going to give it a little bit of room here, not take a team fight unless they have to.
But the Tracer is able to get back into the fight fairly fast, good, luckily for them, as they're going to continue on with this team fight. Fantasy trying to be a nuisance in the background.
Gets destroyed! Get out of this lobby, says Codexa with the giant headshot. And notice that Codexa had put that Venomine in the correct place, had the sights on to Reese's, and the moment Reese's got that double jump off, jumped right into a bullet from Codexa.
Yeah, an amazing shot right there. You know what? That's just good quality gameplay, good quality game sense, and just mechanics over mechanics.
All right, so now we're in a position where WM1 has been stopped a few times, and you know, this is going to be the point where we see, is WM1 going to be able to open up, get a quick pick with their Tracer Bomb, or are they going to try to slow it down a little bit and get some more ults to push into this very, very strong defense being pulled out by Dreadful?
WM1 definitely trying to win the team fight before they need to actually push. Given that they do have 2 minutes, they have the ability to do so.
And look at Fantasy here, just staying alive and being in a complete annoyance to the enemy team. Vex is looking to do the same thing. Bombs are coming out. Wash gets 2 kills, gets the D.Va out of the mech, and this is going to be the attack. This is the moment that Dreadful has right here to stifle this attack and hopefully hold the point. That's what they've been doing so far, and they're showing that they have the mechanical skill, and they also just have the plain team decision making to take every one of these fights and put them back into their favor. And look at Vex, completely bold by just walking up to that Zenyatta. If you don't get the kill there, it's fine, but you want to try to get that one shot on the Zenyatta, force W11 back into their spawn. So this has just been fantastic to watch from the perspective of Dreadful.
Oh, and another fantastic aggressive blade and trans coming in from WM1. We know the Wombo combo well, as Reese's is able to get so many kills and such value just out of any blade that he has.
This is the first time that somebody has pushed Codexa like that. Took long enough, but Reese's was able to get the kill. Reese's really doing everything himself. Pulled out the blade early in that fight. Got a lot of value out of it. I think got 2 kills, then 2 more kills throughout the fight. This is going to be the last stand for Dreadful. It's got to be Vex on point. Are you going to get the 6K? Not going to happen, and that's going to be 0.1 capped by WM1. So really getting pushed back by Codexa, who had just so much fire down range, but they were able to find a way to do it with the trans, with the blade, and now they're looking to get even more staggered kills as WM1, pushing this monkey, trying to make him reevaluate his positioning and his life.
Yeah, definitely trying to contest that high ground as fast as they can. They know that that is the key to their victory, trying to be able to get the high ground, see who can win that fight, and they'll be able to push the cart even more.
Look at the respect that Reese's is giving Codexa on that Widowmaker. He's making sure that he's completely behind cover after using, after using his deflect, because he does not want to take a shot to the head. And Wash is going to open this fight up with the first kill. Now you're going to see a full aggressive attack from Dreadful. They need to stop this defense. They need to stop, they need to stop the payload on defense. Are they going to be able to do it?
It's like they're doing actually quite a job of making sure that this payload is defended. Both tanks are still up, and Mad Monkey is going to be popped, making sure that they're going to actually not allow any more damage to be done through the distance of this payload. But as well, it's just the 2 supports, and they're going to get staggered for this next team fight, and they're going to have a hard time to get together.
Notice that Codexa is still on that Widow, and Widow has such great positioning here. You have your tanks. If you're Dreadful, you put your tanks up front. That way, any dive cannot get all the way back to the Widowmaker. You're going to see the Genji creeping up if you're the tanks up there. If you're, Meme Weaver and Wash, you're watching this whole field. You're dictating what the attacking team is able to do, and that allows Codexa to stand in the back here and just shoot for free. Notice that Venom Mine as well, also making sure that she's watching, flanks from the back, taking a look at the side. Codexa is doing a great job.
And a great job on Ironside trying to make sure that the Widow does not have a good line of sight, but Codexa able to go on the other side with the hook shot.
Now Reese's does have his blade available here. He does not use it because he gets right-clicked into Oblivion from aimbot. What a fantastic right-click. It might not be enough to save the point, but man, that is a highlight you want to save.
Yeah, and because the payload is so far back, they can take a team fight so far forward and still get the push that they need, because all they have to do is just win a small skirmish and come right back and then continue on with the fight forward.
All right, so take a look at the aimbot's Transcendence. It is available here, and he's saving it for Reese's. He does not want to get his Transcendence force out because Reese's has shown time and time again he has the fattest blades around. He is prepared to use them, and aimbot is going to hold on to this Trans for as long as it takes.
Again, trying to zone out everyone that they can.
Blade coming out from Reese's. Trance is not popped, though it's finally popped, but it's a little bit late. He's on a separate high ground, and the rest of the team isn't able to get to him in time. Codexa going out first, but is res. We're back into a 6v6.
And continuing out with this, fights galore. Codexa switching onto the Soldier 76, knowing that they don't have much time left, getting more value out of that Soldier, and continuing on. Aimbot and Vex both making sure that the D.Va is dead. And it looks like
that whole fight hinged on I'm trying getting the res. you know, that she did pay for it with her life, was taken out by the Tracer Bomb, but I'm trying, getting that res, brought back Codexa, who got 2 kills in the team fight, and that is such a demoralizing feeling when you're in a position where the enemy Mercy is able to res and you're standing on top of the body. Nobody was there to boop her. Nobody was able to get the kill off. That is such a huge deal because now you have to deal with Codexa again, who had switched onto that soldier. And we know that Codexa knows, you know, not only where to be, but how to shoot. And so having Codexa back in the fight completely stifled any attack left. And as we saw it right there, very, very close match. Both teams got the payload to just before point 2. But on that one, it looked like WM1 had a fantastic attack, but they didn't get it quite as far as Dreadful did on their attack.
Definitely thinking, especially Iron Crit on that Winston, able to jump onto Codexa on that Widow. It was quite an amazing play, but Codexa was able to just slip away using the hook shot just to get on the other high ground, and you think you were able to create the space, just drown out and snuff out the Widow, but just like that, the Widow is able to get another vantage point.
Well, and that's pretty much to be expected. If you're the tanks diving in and you're diving into a Widowmaker, you know she's going to have her grapple up. So it's more than just, you know, getting up to where she is. Yes, of course, you want to displace the Widow. But as you can see, you know, on the attack there, you want to dive up there and just try to take out whoever you can. You know, the Widowmaker was alone back there. But at that point, the Mercy was up there. The tanks had tried to counter dive you, so you did have other targets. But Codexa is just, anytime you give Codexa space on that Widowmaker, you're going to pay for it with your life. I like the attack that was brought in on that one by Dreadful. You know, they tried to get into a flanking position, just try to get somewhere where they weren't in Widow sights the whole time. But, you know, Codexa is a smart player. He's going to make that fight work to his advantage every single time. But it really has to be said, for both WM1 and Dreadful to hold the point in almost exactly the same spot on Dorado, that was fantastic to watch. Both of these teams are showing how confident they are on the defensive. And the only thing that are really swinging these fights is, you know, either who's getting that early pick or who has the best game plan that's being executed faster than the other team.
But I did very much appreciate WM1's going behind the church, because we didn't see Dreadful trying to go through with that approach on the attack, but it definitely helped them out to get extra distance with the payload, just because they were able to take a quick fight to begin with, drop back a little bit, get some more distance on the payload, and then take another fight, just because they're able to just dive in, dive out so fast.
Yeah, very, very strong there. We're looking ahead. It looks like we're moving over to Oasis. Pretty sure we're going to see dive versus dive again. But now the question is going to be, what flavor of dive are you going to run? Are you going to run it with the pharmacy? I know a lot of teams like to pull out the pharmacy here, own the skies. In this situation, we see Iron Crit looking like he's going to be staying on that Doomfist. We've been bamboozled before by that. I'm not really expecting it to stay. Doomfist can be very, very strong here, but that is a level of team coordination and player skill that is very hard to come by.
Well, they're also, well, they just got off the Symmetra. I was really hoping that they would try doing some kooky comp just to try to get the Symmetra in, but they're just going to be running that traditional dive against the Fair Mercy, which as we've seen before back in Lijiang Tower, Vex is very, very skilled on that hero.
And the fight starts right away. Both teams jockeying for the high ground positioning. Who's going to be the first one to lose a member? Because that's probably going to dictate the rest of this fight. That Mercy does not look like she's in a good position. Vex is trying to get the kill, but he's taken out. Fixer saving his own Mercy by taking out the Pharaoh before she could get that third rocket off, and then Reese's coming in and picking up the pieces. What a fantastic counter dive that came in there from WM1. It looked a little bit shaky at first there, but the moment Vex got a little bit too aggressive, pushed in a little bit too far, paid for it with her life, and then the rest of the fight is history, as they say.
And a great job then by Fixer, making sure, you know, Defense Matrix is still a very, very powerful ability against anyone that has a projectile. Just eating anything up just to save your team, especially their own Mercy, just to continue on with the fight. This is an amazing job by Fixer.
Take a look at WM1. They do have the they do have the Valkyrie available. They do pop it as well. Maybe a res is going to be coming in for Ad. They're going to need a second healer here. This is going to be very difficult. Transcendence is going to be built, but it's not here in time.
Valkyrie is actually going to be run out, you know, looking for someone to glide to as they continue on with this fight, but they are a man down.
Reese's thinking about the blade there, does not need it because Fantasy gets a 2K with the Tracer Bomb. That's going to be all she wrote for this fight by WM1. Cut that, because now it looks like we've got a Zenyatta taking somebody out, and we've got the Winston back in the fight.
Yeah, it looks like
you don't want to bring Meme back because now Meme is on the point. He's got his ult available, and he is going to be using it. What a right click into the trance!
Oh, amazing. Just kills galore going on both sides in a continued fight. But still, with that, WM1 is continuing to benefit through this prolonged team fight. Although Reese is going to bring out the blade, they're still getting percentage points on the board. They're going up to 80%. All they need is 1 or 2 more fights, and they're going to win.
I'm trying, getting that res off onto Meme Weaver. Looked like it was going to be the exact shot in the arm that this attack needed from Dreadful to be able to cap the point there. It did not work out that way because Aimbot had to use the trance to try to keep the tanks alive, and then Reese's walked in with the blade after that and really made Aimbot pay for it.
I'm going to see another team fight coming in from that Vex, trying to get in the back line, but unable to get too much as they continue on with this team fight.
Ad is forced to use that ult there, use the Transcendence.
Vex able to get the pick off, but is it enough to continue on with this fight? They're trying to struggle to stay on what they can. Meme Weaver doing what he can, trying to pick off what he can see with his Tesla cannon, but unable to get too much as he is alone. But he does have a Mercy.
But the Mercy is staying alive. I'm staying alive for so long. I've been there. I'm trying. I promise you, props have to be given. Staying alive for that long with a player like Reese's hunting you down, that is not a small task. That was a really incredible play there by Mercy. But unfortunately, there was no anchor points left to fly to. Nobody left to heal. To heal and maintain that point, and the first point is going to be going over to Reese's. Well, of course, not just to Reese's, but to WM1 with Reese's on their back. You know, having that Genji, we've seen this a few times. We know how good Reese's is at Genji. I'm not sure why Aimbot is continuing to use this Transcendence. It's not necessarily wrong. A lot of times it is correct to use the Transcendence just to keep your tanks up, but you should be a lot more scared of Reese's and that blade. And the fact that Reese's isn't getting the respect that I think he's showed he deserves, that is why we're seeing a lot of these really swingy fights.
Definitely, wholeheartedly agree with you on that whole premise. And with continuing on to this next fight, we're actually going to see an Orisa come out of Meme Weaver, switching off to Monkey. They're going to be going for a bit of a triple tank comp.
The triple tank is interesting. There's a lot of sustain. You've already got almost Coalescence being built by Aimbot. That's a huge deal. That's the entire reason you run so many tanks, so you can get Coalescence quick and make use of it.
And perhaps that will be the answer for Reese's, but along with that, the one downfall of the triple tank is Reese's is going to get his ult really fast with all those big targets to hit out of those tanks.
See, but this is another answer you can give. Well, let's see what happens with Reese's. Is the blade going to get any value here? There's so much HP to shoot through. This is a great way to respond to Reese's. So you knew it wasn't working. You knew how confident Reese's was, and you switch on all these tanks. Problem is, Fantasy walks in and gets a 4K when you weren't looking.
Oh, what a bomb! Like, holy hell! How do you deal with that? Just a bomb out of nowhere. And saving the entire fight. I definitely thought Dreadful was going to be winning that. They had the HP to survive through the Dragon Blade, and they had the sustain. It's just one great pulse bomb just secured the fight for them.
And Yuno has that Valkyrie available. Pretty sure it's going to be used very aggressively in this fight. You want to close out this fight as fast as possible. Notice how Vex switched onto that McCree as soon as he saw what Tracer was able to do. Getting the Diva before she remechs. The bomb was used, but no mech is coming back down to save you this time.
And a great job done, and Ad gonna be using his ult to try to keep everyone alive on their time, trying to at least make sure that they have more percentage points to fight for, as they do have 2 people down. Gonna see if they can just keep whoever they can on the point as long as possible.
And this is exactly what Dreadful wanted to see when they brought out this team comp. They wanted to have some more long, drawn-out fights. That's one of the best ways to force that Genji into irrelevancy. He's going to pull out his blade and he's slashing at the tanks, which is exactly what we saw. Not only do they have that high health pool, but you've got the Moira who's healing them, and she can get out of dodge with her shift. So now the Genji is rendered pretty much useless, and this is where Dreadful needs to be, owning the point with that triple tank.
Yeah, definitely both DPS ults on the side of Dreadful, making sure that, or actually, got that WM1.
And now Reese's is coming in, he's got the blade out, but again denied. They have found the answer for Reese's blade. Let's see if he switches off here, because he has got no value so far. And Fantasy once again only gets 1K there, but also gets the Bongo. That's a huge deal. Fantasy is such an annoyance for Dreadful. They feel like they've countered Reese's effectively, but then Fantasy walks in and keeps just pecking and pecking at your backline, throwing in these fat Tracer pulse bombs, and now we see Reese's does switch. The writing is on the wall, no more Genji, and now we're seeing a little bit of Pharah movement.
Definitely respecting Vex's McCree play, just able to get the shots, and also with that stun of the flashbang, able to stop Reese's and make him scared enough to switch to something other than Genji.
All right, Vex in a great position here. He's got his Diva eating up any concussive blast that might be coming in, and then taking out Fantasy. Not only is Vex just being completely oppressive to the whole team, takes out Fantasy with the flashbang headshot. What a fantastic shot there, and now it's just up to Dreadful to pick up the remaining pieces, get the final kills, tries to get the flashbang headshot again, misses slightly, but it doesn't matter. Fantasy knows that this fight is over. We're at almost complete cap. I think WM1 will have a chance to get one more fight on the point, but somebody's got to get there, and somebody's got to get there fast, because we're at 5 percentage points left. Adit looks like he's going to try to get to the trance. He's pushed back, but he does finally make it on point, giving his team time to walk in. Iron Crit is on the Doomfist.
Definitely see what he's able to do with it, but it will be a very, very tough fight to just go with, especially since Vex has the Deadeye, getting a 2K already on there, and only to being left, and that is a team kill. Just ult after ult being put down and being so oppressive, just not having that transcendence to heal you in a team fight, just to try to get what you can to contest the point, is very detrimental.
Yeah, it's really tough, and I'm not a huge fan of the Doomfist switch there. I know I've been calling for Doomfist all Scrim long. Pretty much ever since Doomfist was announced, I've been calling for more Doomfist in my games. The problem is, we mentioned this before, Doomfist is incredibly strong if you're looking to pick out certain squishy targets, and you're getting essentially free kills. You can get in there with your combo, save your rocket punch to get out, or initiate with it. There's so much you can do with Doomfist. You're not going to do a whole lot if the enemy team has 3 tanks, because all of your damage is just being absorbed by that Roadhog, which is exactly what we saw, so no value was gotten. But now we're seeing Iron Crit pull out the Reinhardt. The big German with the big hammer is going to be responded to by Meme with a big hammer of his own. Oh no, and with Reese's coming in, posting out all that damage, it's not enough because his Reinhardt is the first one to go down. Vex has a much, much stronger opening with the Junkrat there. 50% to Tire is Reese's, and just about 50% is Vex.
Definitely precision German engineering versus precision German engineering as we see the shield battle come on in, but the Zarya able to get quite a bit of charge and hopefully able to deal just as much damage. That black hole.
Reese's with the 2K, getting the kill onto the Lucio and the Reinhardt. That is fantastic. These Junkrat plays are just non-stop. We saw this back on Lijiang where we saw 3 tires which felt like they were within about 1 minute of each other, all coming from the same source. But now Vex has his tire to try to open up the fight, maybe get 1 or 2 picks, maybe take out the Junkrat just to get him out of your face and give your tanks room to breathe. Another triple tank is being run by Dreadful. I think they found what they're good at, but it's going to be very tough to walk in and stop Reese's from doing whatever he wants. Vex gets the first kill onto Iron.
Oh, and a big!
With the fantastic 4K
God.
is Reese's! This Junkrat play will not stop and should not stop. Please hit F9, save the VOD. Reese's saving that point for WM1.
And I'm already pressing F to pay respects with that tire. What an amazing play. I just able to get everyone, and they didn't even need a Graviton Surge just to secure everyone in one place.
So what we saw before with Dreadful walking in, having that triple tank combo, it looks like it's been effectively countered by just the sheer amount of damage coming in from the Junkrat and other sources, but mainly from that Junkrat. Now the Iron Crit's going to be walking in, gets the shatter, gets a kill. WM1 is not going to stop with that. They've got 3 kills, they want 3 more.
And definitely usually that beat just to make sure that they stay on the point for even more percentage points. They should be able to win this fight, pushing up even more. And they have a distinct advantage with, they don't even have to worry too much because they have not had to use many ults for many of these team fights.
Well, WM1 is also bringing out that triple tank, and it just seems like they're executing a lot better with the power of Reese's, getting that tire again with the 2K. Reese's is showing off, you know, what you can do as Junkrat, but especially if you have a team who enables these long fights. Now it's getting a little bit scary because WM1 is being put on their heels. A couple kills come in for Dreadful, which is what they needed. Points about to be 100%, so this is the time to win the fight. You gotta win it now. You gotta touch that point to force overtime.
Definitely could be very interesting.
That might be the best Graviton Surge you will see tonight. There was a moment for Dreadful to be able to cap that point, or at the very least have a chance to. Heads up play by WM1 using the Graviton Surge, putting it just off of point. Nobody's able to touch, and you just saved your entire team a team fight that could have gone the wrong way. That was an incredible Graviton Surge. No kills necessary to show why that was so fantastic.
Yeah, just I was incredibly blown away, just the positioning. I definitely thought they were going to be able to get in. It was just on the very end of that Graviton Surge, but it was just what they needed just at the right time, and what else can you ask for at that point? But let's talk about those tires. Able to get that Reese's had. He had at least 4 tires just in one after another, definitely showing his power and finesse on the Junkrat.
I do really like the term finesse being applied to Junkrat, and here's why I like it. Because on face value, it just sounds like something you should laugh at, and generally it is something you should laugh at. But we talked about this back when Reese's first brought out the Junkrat. You know, we all know that a relatively low skill player can pick up Junkrat and be effective, or at the very least, I should say at the very least be effective, in a lot of cases carry games. But what happens when you get a 4.1, 4.2, 4.3K player like we're seeing tonight on the Junkrat? Well, then you get all of that inherent luck built into the character with those random grenades, and you get the decision making and the game sense, and just the full amount of skill. All of that comes into the finesse that we're seeing coming in from Reese's. He shows it off on the Genji. He's been showing it off on the Junkrat. And really what we saw from WM1 is just better execution of the triple tank strategy. Remember, both teams walked into that fight with triple tank from the beginning, but WM1, on the back of some fantastic tires by Reese's, was able to, you know, outperform what Dreadful was bringing to the table.
Man, let's definitely not forget about the supports that are enabling all this, especially with a lot of the Mercy play. You know, you think that you're just no-braining it with Mercy, but actually being able to figure out the right time to get the damage boost just to make sure your DPS are able to secure that kill is nothing to scoff at, actually.
So Codexa going for a very, Dreadful with Codexa going for a very interesting, not really a dive. It looks like they're going for the ball and chain combo because it is well, and a lot more tech choices. The McCree is there probably to stop the Tracer on the enemy side. Joke's on you, Reese's is on the Junkrat again. This is a scary moment because now Reese's is on Junkrat. WM1 has the point, and it's gonna, they have good positioning on the point. It's gonna be very scary to walk into them, especially with your Roadhog getting booed.
Just amazing play by Ad, trying to see what
and then Meme gets the other Roadhog with the pull. This is what we want to see from Well, but now the question is, okay, great, you got a pick, you got 2 picks, what are you going to do with it? How do you follow up with getting those picks? And it looks like everything's going in the way of WM1. They had great positioning on the point. They got the first couple of picks, and it really paid off because now they own the point. They're getting the percentage, and Dreadful needs to reevaluate how they're going to be taking this next fight. Very scary to think about that when you have a Junkrat tire coming in your face, and that's going to be happening within the next 10 to 15 seconds. We know how many Reese's can build, and that's because he uses them essentially on cooldown.
And an amazing play by both teams, essentially wanting to get rid of the shield as fast as you can. But we're going to see another tire coming in already and getting a pick off of aimbot.
And
so
that's all you need. That's all you need to completely stop the push here, because there's no way Dreadful can walk in without their Lucio. They have a Moira, but they don't have the speed to get to where they need to go. So this is going to be at least 15, 20, maybe 30 seconds bought, but now the Lucio's back. We're at a 6v6, and now it's how is WM1 going to respond to this? Because Coalescence is coming out, trying to get as much value onto the tanks as possible, maybe a couple kills. Nothing's coming out yet. So much damage, though. And Fixer getting the hook onto me. That is a huge deal. Then Wash responds to the hook of his own. And Reese's falling in. That is not what WM1 needed to see right now, because this is a scary moment. And Dreadful is showing that they can respond in kind. They're seeing the mistakes happen on the side of WM1, and they're trying to capitalize on it. Still have not taken the point. Finally taking the point there. 73% goes to WM1, and finally Dreadful is able to get some sort of presence on the point. Can they hold on? They've shown in the past they're good at defense, but this is very scary because we've got another tire coming from Reese's.
And you definitely have to give a lot of credit to those tanks, especially Memeweaver. Being able to use the zoning advantage of Vex from that Deadeye, and able to actually get two hooks into the well itself, allowing them to win that fight.
With a, I can't even get excited about two kill tires anymore. This is like what Reese's, this is what we should expect. He just hits Q and people die. This is fantastic. This is what you need if you're WM1. You want to have that DPS who can be pocketed by your tanks, creating that space, by your healers, keeping him up. But then you have to expect him to do his job, and that's exactly what Reese's is doing. He's doing his job, nothing more, nothing less. I don't mean that as an insult, I mean that as a compliment. He is in there, fragging out on every single push.
And he's able to just get so much charge every time Dreadful tries to push back up, but another tire coming out of Codexa trying to answer with their own Junkrat.
Getting pretty good positioning here. Nobody knows where the tire is at. Is it going to get any value? It does not, but they don't need any value out of it because Vex walks in, gets the kill. He's being boosted by his Orisa's damage from the Bongo. This might be the time to reverse the point back over to you if you're Dreadful, but it's got to happen now. You're in overtime, no mistakes, get the kills, get in and get out. So much damage is being pumped into Dreadful. Look at their health bars. Everybody is so low. Is anybody able to hit those final shots? And it looks like the final shots are coming in from WM1. That was looking very scary. Vex walking in, getting the 2K, but this is something that we've seen repeated a few times with Dreadful. They have Vex, they have Codexa, they have these fantastic DPS players who are able to enable, you know, these pushes to even happen in the first place. They're getting one pick, they're getting two picks, they're opening up the point, but then there's nothing that's happening after that. And from WM1's side, when they're getting those first picks, their superior focus fire is enabling them to get the second, the third, the fourth, and then of course capping the point. So Dreadful needs to slow down a little bit after they get that first pick, then hit the gas. Who are we going on next? Everybody should know, and that person should die within 1 to 2 seconds.
Exactly, and perhaps maybe that the Junkrat of Reese's is putting them in for a bit of a loop, because who do you go on when he's such a huge threat?
All right, the Widow duel is back on, boys. Fantasy and Codexa trading shots back and forth. No kills have been taken yet, but it only takes one shot.
Iron Crit already getting a pick onto aimbot, making sure that they're gonna have the team advantage, even with the Widow v Widowmaker happening.
And this is not the Dreadful team that we were used to seeing on those last few maps. They've been losing some of these first team fights, and it's not so much because they're underperforming. I mean, they are underperforming a little bit. You know, maybe you could have hit a shot here or there, but it's just the aggression that WM1 is showing. They're not afraid to walk in. They have no fear, and in a lot of cases, no respect peeking Codexa as Widow. Widow needs to just hit a couple shots here and remind everybody what a fantastic hit scan he is, and that's going to force WM1 to change their game plan, to change their approach, and that could be exactly what Dreadful needs to get some sort of space on the point.
Yeah, definitely playing very, very aggressive, and Fantasy is having a heyday, just staying in the back, able to get a great pick onto the Mercy, making sure that there is one less healer, and allowing the front line of WM1 to continue on with this frontward assault.
Yeah, WM1, not only have they capped the point, but they've completely taken over the other team, Dreadful's Mega here, so this is great positioning, but look at all of the ultimates. There's 3 ultimates for both sides here. The question is Dreadful going to be able to pop off and use their ultimates effectively, get those first, second, third kills, hopefully, and then continue following up beyond that point?
Just amazing. See what they can do. They're going to have to try to come back and see if they can regroup. Getting some aggression on their own. Vex going on over to the Tracer.
And Codexa getting the kill. Exactly what Dreadful needed there to be able to get some sort of space onto this point. Reese's is flailing that blade wildly, trying to get the Mercy, but she is just out of range every single time, and now Fantasy is being pushed back, and that's what we need to see from Codexa. Not only getting the kill on the Lucio, but you're forcing WM1 to get into these really wonky positions. They can't peek, the healers can't go in to res anybody, they can't go in to heal anybody because they're so scared of Codexa. That's one of the fantastic things about Ilios Ruins. When you have a Widowmaker alive and the enemy team doesn't, you will win that fight.
And just an amazing play overall. Just allowing Vex coming in to the back line, making sure that when WM1 is trying to retreat, unable to really find a great place to just kind of regroup.
All right, so the beat does come out. Ad is dropping the beat, giving his team some time to get position onto the point, and Fantasy is making it pay off right away in dividends, getting the Mercy down. Now Lucio is down. WM1 is in a very commanding position. Fantasy is still getting picks. Nobody's able to stop Fantasy here. Nobody's even looking at Fantasy. Codexa taken out. 88% is the ownership that WM1 has on the point. There is a possibility for another fight here, but somebody's got to get to the point from Dreadful, and they got to get there fast.
Yeah, see if they can get it. Maybe Aimbot can try to contest the point, but it looks like Meme Weaver is going to be able to jump on the point, testing at 99.
It might not matter. Meme Weaver, you know, valiant effort setting the overtime in the first place. You know, nobody was there to touch beyond him, so he tried to create some space for his team to get in there. And Waj is going to try to make this pay off, getting a 2K. Is that going to open this up? The res comes in, Vex getting a kill. Another res comes in from Yuna. And now it looks like WM1 is in control at this point.
Yeah, Iron Crit trying to do what he can, trying to just save the point for their side, because the more they keep it into overtime, the better for them. But at the same time, they can afford to just get off the point, regroup, and then utilize their ult advantage for the next fight.
And look at Codexa getting 2 kills on both of the healers. That could be enough to give the rest of Dreadful sustain on the point to get this fight and hopefully take it over. Vex is taking this opportunity too hard, getting a kill onto Iron. D.Va's out of mech. Now D.Va's dead. Now Aimbot is getting into the fray, getting a kill on Reese's, and just like that, it looks like Dreadful is going to be able to turn the point into a fantastic D.Va bomb by Wash, opening it up, and then Codexa turning it on. Clutch kills at the end there, and showing us why he's stuck on Widowmaker for so long. This is why right here. Get those kills onto the enemy team's healers, and now your team owns the point again. Here comes Fantasy, though. Are you going to be able to keep this clutch play up and take out this next push from WM1?
It's definitely going to be seeing who gets the first pick. But with Reese's going to be looking at him as he's going to have a Dragon Blade, and they can afford to take a few fights, maybe take a dry push just to bait out a few ultimates from Dreadful, and then try to go for the win in the second fight.
Damage being traded back and forth. They really want Codexa dead. Iron Crit is using his entire ultimate. It does pay off, gets Codexa out of the way, and that is a scary moment for Dreadful, because unless Wash is able to get another pop-off D.Va bomb, this is going to be all she wrote for Dreadful on Ilios.
Wash able to get Ad, making sure that the Lucio does not stay in the fight, being a key sustainer, but will get resurrected by Yuna.
And And it looks like that's going to be all she wrote. The point is going to be taken here. Dreadful was able to get it to overtime. Points switched over to WM1 control. So if this overtime gets to 0, that's going to be the map going in the way for WM1.
Not much to contest after that. And it looks like...
yeah, there we go. WM1 is going to have the point there. They do cap it, but a lot has got to be said for Codexa there. Missed a few shots early, was getting boxed out by the enemy team's tanks. Remember that aggression that WM1 was able to show? They capped the point and then had this complete aggression onto Dreadful. But man, getting into that overtime, Wash walks in, gets a 2K. In overtime, and then Codexa comes back and hits those shots that Dreadful needed her to hit. Fantastic play there to bring the point back into your control. And then pretty much what we've seen all night long, though, once WM1 has any room on the point, the moment they get a pick, their focus fire is so strong. Everybody just falls like dominoes.
Exactly. And going on into this next one, going to be seeing a mirror match of traditional dive on both sides, but Aimbot going over to the Zenyatta, seeing if he can get frag out on his side of the map.
That's a scary moment. Your Zenyatta, not only do you have a Genji in your face, but it's Reese's in your face, and you pretty much know unless you hit every single headshot, you're dead, and that's exactly what happened with Aimbot, but now kills are being traded back and forth. WM1 and Dreadful, both in equal position to cap this point, but somebody's got to stand on it. It looks like it's just Dreadful. At the very last second, WM1 is able to contest the point, but that's not enough. The first cap of the point goes to Dreadful, and it doesn't look like WM1 has enough firepower left to be able to take this point, swing it. And as soon as I say that, look at these tanks. Iron Crit will not stop. He walks in, gets that final kill. Rez comes in, and then all the damage comes in after that. I really cannot count out the focus fire that WM1 has. I know I sound like a broken record, but this is what Overwatch is supposed to look like. You should see your kill feed. Yeah, it's great if your Diva Bomb gets a 5K. We saw Reese's get that 4 or 5K with the tire. Those are Poggers moments. Those are exciting. What's more exciting is seeing those kills come in, 1 second delay, because you know those tanks are focusing the right targets. No, not like this. Fantasy gets the 2K, and I don't think Vex knew that it was going to be there. Dashes into it, getting the kill on the monkey as well. And now we see WM1 in a very familiar position. They have the point, and they walk into the enemy team spawn, forcing them back.
And definitely some great discipline, as you were saying, with WM1. Just good, solid fundamentals coming out of all of them, as they're able to just get the drop on anyone coming out of Dreadful, and Dreadful really needs to just group up to see if they can get something going for them.
Forcing the trance out of Zenyatta is such a huge deal there. That's the entire reason that Reese's was pushing Zenyatta in that moment, just to force out the trance. Now he's got a free blade coming in whenever he wants to use it.
Definitely being overpowered by their own dive comp, but Aimbot getting revived, but already getting taken out again and unable to do much.
Take a look at Vex with the big blade, getting so many kills with the Swift Strike. Is it going to be enough? Because now Fixer's trying to open up the point for WM1.
And just...
This is going to be Dreadful's fight here, because not only did they win the fight, but they did cap the point early in that fight. So the entire time the rest of this stagger has been happening, it's been percentage points ticking in the way of Dreadful.
And just a great sneaky play from them, being able to change the tempo of the team fight outside and able to allow them to defend themselves into the point, giving them more percentage points for their side, and allowing them to stay in this fight. Aimbot getting off of the Zenyatta and going back on the Lucio.
Iron Crit jumps in to make a lot of space for his team. The beat comes behind him. With that beat comes the Genji Blade into 2K plus a whole heck of a lot more damage. Fixer comes in to get those final percentage points of damage onto the enemy team. And in what felt like a 2-second period, we had Iron Crit jump in, force the enemy team to respond to him. Then the beat comes in behind him with the blade. What a fantastic beachhead to get there for Iron to allow the rest of his team to flow in and really just follow up and clean up those kills. Next fight is coming in right away from Dreadful. Dreadful looking to get a kill early, trying to get some picks here. Damage is being traded back and forth, but that is a giant pick. Bruno is being taken out, had Valkyrie available, but was not able to use it.
And Fantastic job by Todexa making sure that that was one thing. But looking at Vex, it does have a blade ready and available, and they might have to use it, especially with the overtime ticking away. They're going to have to see what they can get.
And Vex going for the, let's call it BM kill, getting the dash kill on the enemy's Genji, who was falling off the map, and then Vex jumped off the map as well. That's fine. You knew your team had the point, so you will be able to respawn in time, but maybe something you want to leave out of the open divisional game when you do get a chance to play it. Vex with the blade, though, does not have a whole lot of defensive capabilities for WM1. They do have Yuno on that Valkyrie, but the beat is not ready, so if Vex pops his blade early, this could be, you know, a completely won game for Dreadful, but don't speak too soon. Here comes the blade right now, using it on the D.Va, trying to get as much cleave damage in as possible. D.Va's not going down. D.Va finally does go down, pops her bomb, but no value is to be gotten from the bomb. Kills going in the way for Dreadful.
Yeah, Dreadful's definitely with that advantage, going to try to go. But Reese is with that blade, going to continue to try to see what he can get. Already getting a 2K. Genji and Mercy out of the fight, making sure nothing happens. But Reese's and Fixer's
And then
both.
Fantasy responds, getting a 2K with the bomb, taking out the enemy Tracer. Reese's and Fantasy just completely open up that point. They took an almost guaranteed loss on that fight with the blade opening up and then that insane Tracer bomb behind it. WM1 beats the odds, gets the point back into their control, and as a result, takes the map.
Play of the game.
And let's see that that Tracer bomb again. Oof, with the kill onto the enemy Tracer. Codexa was doing a lot of work there, but Fantasy just did a little bit more at the end. Man, what an incredible match. That was so back and forth. I really thought that Dreadful had the point there. In overtime, they had gotten 2 kills. Both were credited to the Lucio, who was aimbot. Remember, he was on Zenyatta, got tired of being bullied by Reese's, and then switched onto the Lucio. And it really looked like that was going to be all she wrote. But again, we're just seeing this patience, this determination, and this game sense, and then of course just the outright skill from the DPS on WM1 side. If they get even an inch onto the point, an inch in the fight, they're going to take a mile, and they're really showing us what, you know, if the focus fire does break down, which is WM1's strong suit, they still have those solo carry capabilities in Reese's, and in their Tracer play as well. It was just so fun to watch Fantasy and Reese's pop off like that.
And definitely just enabling all that pop off, just the space created, just the chaos that they were able to work with and weave. It's just a thing of beauty that even sometimes it just goes so fast you can't even analyze it.
All right, well, what a fantastic scrim that we had there. You know, this is really fun to watch because what we're seeing is some very high-level teams duking it out, and you know, getting to see teams that are so incredibly talented going up against each other. I mean, somebody's got to come out with the win there. But what was really interesting to see is how each team responded to the other team. Remember, you know, for a while there, Dreadful was getting taken apart by Reese's on the Genji, so they switched over to the triple tank to completely negate the Genji. It worked out for them. But then in response, WM1 also switched to the triple tank. There was so much more back and forth play. Incredible to watch. Very impressive gameplay. And I do want to just say, you know, thank you to everybody who was able to tune in for the stream today. Remember, we do have a new schedule going up here at Horizon Overwatch. We do stream Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. Stream is set to start at 8 o'clock. As you know, we do live in North America, and that means that the streams are likely going to be starting at around 8:10 to 8:15. That's not my fault. That is just teams being a little bit slow on the uptake. But we do want to say thank you to WM1 and Dreadful for putting on a great show. Of course, thank you to everybody who is watching us today. If you're interested in getting to be a part of the Horizon Overwatch Discord, remember that is open. We just reached 500 members, and I think we're on set to beat 600 members with 1 or 2 more. And so if you want in on that, let us know. We have plenty of high-level coaches, high-level gameplay like you're seeing right now. Oh, I'm just getting confirmation from my production right now. We are already over to 600, so get us up to 700. If you like the show, give us a follow. You'll get updated on when we're actually going live with our streaming. And if you really like the show, you want to support what we're doing here, you want to support the cast, the casters, the stream, production, everybody here at Horizon Overwatch, hit us with that subscribe. You know, it really, really helps out the cast, makes us feel good, and it gives us an opportunity to bring you more content more often.
Exactly.
But for myself, Argander, and my wonderful co-host, which was UTech today, thank you so much for tuning in, and have a great night.